Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Emma Lingard. On tonight's show, my guests are Pete Steele and Gordon Smith, who are here to talk about the Grimsby Chums. And Dan Kemp will be here with the sport. But first, it's over to Richard Morris for the news.
Hello, in the headlines today, the power of social media is doing damage to a local firm, and we've got the dates of the Grimsby switch on of the Christmas lights. A 22-year-old man has died following a road traffic collision on the B1246 Fish Pond Hill in Pocklington. The Driffield man was riding a purple Suzuki motorcycle which collided with a red Vauxhall Agila at 4 p.m. on Saturday. The motorcyclist sustained serious injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the car suffered cuts to the face and shock. Humberside Police would like to speak to any witnesses to the collision or to anyone who may have seen the vehicles before the incident took place. A local firm is outraged after a posting on social media has gone out of hand. A photo of a van once owned by G-Tech Electrical Contractors has had nearly 4,000 shares on Facebook after someone posted it, alleging it may have been used for dog crimes in Lincolnshire. Guy Wakefield, managing director of the North East Lincolnshire firm, says he sold the van 2 months ago to a scrap merchant, but is concerned about the damage to the reputation of his company.
We had phone calls going back a week or so saying that they'd seen our van, could we do anything about it. Sadly, it's not our van, so we can't do anything about it. We should have taken the stickers off, but we took the guy at his word saying that he was going to take the stickers off. We thought it was going to be used for parts, we thought it was going to be scrapped, so you know, essentially we had no reason not to trust the guy, but yeah, we've made a huge mistake in that respect.
Both Humberside and Lincolnshire Police say they're not aware of the van having been used for anything. A spokeswoman for the Lincolnshire force said the posting was playing on people's fears and there was nothing substantiated. The construction of a new £1 million roundabout is set to start next Monday. East Riding of Yorkshire Council secured the funding as part of a £170 million programme for the Department of Transport as part of the local pinch point programme. The roundabout will be constructed on the junction of the A1079 and Home Road in Market Weighton. It's expected to be completed in early April 2015, and the council says in the meantime that impact or any congestion will be minimal. This week is Electrical Fire Safety Week nationwide, and as part of the scheme, Humberside Fire and Rescue are urging people to make checks to ensure the safety of their household. This year, you can now download an app to your smartphone which highlights potential problems in the home and tells you how to improve on them without jargon. It's available for both Android smartphones and iPhones and can be found on the relevant marketplaces by searching Home Electrical Safety Check. In the past 12 months, Humberside Fire and Rescue have attended 302 electrical-related fires. They're hoping by raising awareness that this figure can be reduced. Last week in Grimsby saw the launch of a new initiative to help the fight against child sexual exploitation. The idea is to get different agencies, from schools to the police, NHS workers to community support officers, to work better to try and support families going through a traumatic time. Many speakers at the event discuss case studies and how they engaged with the families to bring justice. Frank Duffield, the chair of Humberside Crime Stoppers, explained that the initiative will help different branches of the local authorities to work together.
Today has been the first of 5 separate launches across the whole of the Humber, designed to raise the awareness of child sexual exploitation across the Humber region. And with the people that have been here today, it's about energising them to go out and work harder to stop this despicable crime across our communities. Yes, it's a problem, but by no means is it anything like what we've seen in the news across on the west side of the country. But it's a problem that we don't want to see getting bigger. So let's do something about it collectively and make a real difference to people's lives.
North East Lincolnshire Council have officially unveiled the Christmas lights switch-on date and time. This Thursday, the 13th, will host the celebrations, which will also launch this year's Start of Thursday late-night shopping evenings. The switch-on, which is a part of the Telegraph's big Christmas event, will take place at 7 p.m, although the festivities will start at 3 in the afternoon. The Mayor of North East Lincolnshire, Councillor Alex Baxter, will join the Grimsby's Telegraph's nominated local hero. That's all from me for now, and we'll be back with more news soon. Bye.
This year, as we all know, is 100 years since the start of the First World War. As part of the interest in all things connected to this time, the Grimsby Historical Association are putting on an event about the Grimsby Chums. And joining me are the two speakers, Pete Steele, a local historian, and Gordon Smith from the Royal Anglian and Royal Lincolnshire Regimental Association. Welcome both of you to the show, and I know you're no strangers to the Estuary sofa. Gordon, if I can start with you, you're showing the film that you helped produce about the Chums, aren't you?
Yes, that's right, yes.
When did you make that film?
2002, 2003 as a direct result of the remains of soldiers unearthed by the French authorities back in 2001.
Right.
When they were reinterred in the current location, we felt that we should be there. And due to the story of what we did, it's a bit too long-winded to go into at this point, but we finished up with some spare funds left over from the trip. We sort of decided to put it to good use by making a film, which hopefully we could either show to schools or to interested parties, as long as it was necessary to do so.
Okay. And that film included black and white footage of the Chums, didn't it?
That's right, yes.
And
yes.
when was that film actually made?
The film itself was made while the Chums were at Brocklesby. The raw footage, it was given to the Imperial War Museum, who cleaned it up a little and reissued it to us in form of a CD, which we've now managed to convert to a memory stick, so it's quite modern technology now. It's an old black and white film, but parts of it was woven into the film by the guy who actually made the film. Mm-hmm. Once we got all the footage scraped together, he sort of edited it into the form that we use today.
Okay, and the film itself shows them, doesn't it, before they actually went off? So what was the time, what was the year for that black and white film?
Well, the Chums were actually formed started to grow in 1914, and then between leaving for the front in May in 1915, it was during that period, 14-15, that the film was actually filmed.
Okay.
I don't know who did it, but it was...
But you managed to find it incorporated. And now I know you've been showing this film for a number of years now, haven't you?
About 10 years now, yes.
Have you found that in the light of this being the centenary, that you've had an increase in audience?
Yes. We've had a much greater interest this year than any previous year. We have about 8 showings this week alone.
Right. It's very busy, isn't it? And you travel with it, don't you?
We go around to interested parties to show the film, yes.
Okay, and what's usually the response from people when they see that film then?
It's amazing, really. Some people find it very moving, others find it interesting. We've not had any complaints so far about being bored, and everybody says they've learned something they didn't know. That's
brilliant, and obviously, Peter, we bring you in here. You're obviously giving a talk as part of the film being shown as well on the Chums, because that is, I have to say, probably one of your specialist areas, isn't it? The Chums. So, I mean, what will you be talking about?
I'll be speaking about my obsession with the history of the Chums Battalion. Basically, I'll be supplementing the work that Gordon and his colleagues have done, and talking about the interviews that I gave, or that I did, with some of the survivors of the Chums Battalion in the 1970s and the 1980s.
Right.
And of course they've long faded away now, so I'm working that material into a form that can be published and people can read the history of the Chums Battalion, and my volume will supplement the 2 volumes produced by Peter Chapman and Peter Bryant, both of which are excellent in their own right.
Yes, yeah.
But I've got newer material to add to their story.
So do you still find that even after all these years that you're still finding new information? Is it coming out all the time?
It is quite amazing that people do have letters, photographs, medals and documents still tucked away that we've not seen. And they're an important source of information.
Yeah.
And I heard recently of an archive which had been destroyed because nobody knew who would be interested in it. And that's the worst possible story for local historians to hear.
I was going to say that it's like, to my ears hearing that. But this is it with the likes of yourself, and you know, it's preserving that memory, isn't it, of
That's
the
right,
chums?
yes.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And Peter Chapman, who many people know as Odd Man Out in the Grimsby Telegraph,
Yes, yeah.
he has kept alive the memory of the chums for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important that the younger generation learn about those troops, because when all's said and done, they were young men,
Yes.
and it's a young man's game.
Yeah. It is, and I suppose in this centenary year, I mean, I know we were told before we came on air that the worry is, will people get fed up of First World War stories? Do you think people are tired?
I personally don't think so, but I've obviously got a vested interest in it, and I find it all interesting. I'm constantly watching programmes on the television, you know.
Yeah.
I was up till 4 o'clock this morning actually watching one.
This is it. It can grip you though, can't
They
it?
can, yes, that's right.
Yeah, and I think it's the family historians who've been driving this, actually, and it certainly was a bit of a geeky thing to be interested in the First World War when I started.
Yes.
But now it's in the national curriculum.
Yeah.
Family history societies are chasing down information all the time.
It is, it's important. Well, we've come to the end. Thank you both for coming in to talk to us. And just to remind people, that talk is taking place at Markham Hall at St James School. There's no need to book, as far as we've been told, and it's this Friday, November the 14th at 7:30 p.m, and you can come along and listen to Gordon and Pete, and good luck for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now it's over to Dan Kemp for the sport.
Thank you, Emma. And I'll start with the weekend's football results, which included the first round of the FA Cup. But first, Hull City suffered a 1-0 defeat at the hands of Burnley on Saturday in the Premier League. The Clarets went into the game without a league win, but an Ashley Barnes header gave the home side the points, meaning the Tigers have dropped to 15th in the division. Scunthorpe United and Grimsby Town have both been in FA Cup action, but with mixed outcomes. The Iron beat conference side Forest Green Rovers 2-0 on Sunday, thanks to a Gary McSheffrey double, but the Mariners lost their first game in 8 with a 3-1 home defeat to League Two's Oxford United. In the Conference North, North Ferriby United drew 2 apiece at Tamworth in the first ever competitive fixture between the sides. The Villagers went into half-time with a 2-goal lead over the Staffordshire club, thanks to Nathan Jarman and Tom Denton goals, but were pegged back, leaving them 10th in the league. Hull Kingston Rovers' new signings are expected to get their first game time in the red and white shirt for Jason Netherton's testimonial. The fixture against Championship side Halifax will be held at the KC Lightstream Stadium on Sunday the 11th of January to celebrate Netherton's 10 years with the Robins. And in ice hockey, the Hull Stingrays had contrasting results in their 2 games this weekend, both against the Dundee Stars. On Saturday, the Rays went down 6-4 at home to the Stars, but bounced back on Sunday. Canadian forward Corey Tanaka scored a brace, making it 15 for the season for him, as Hull gained revenge with a 4-3 victory. And finally, at Market Raisin Racecourse on Sunday, the jump season resumed with a 7-race card. Despite the best efforts of local trainers Michael Chapman and Nick Kent, both had to settle for second place at the British Armed Forces Day race meeting. In the Raisin Male Novices Chase, Cloudy Bob won, with Chapman's Viva Steve coming in second place, and Kent's Around a Pound came in a distance behind Big George in the 4th of December Food and Gift Fair Handicap Chase. The next meeting at Market Raisin is on Thursday, the 20th of November. And that's all for the sport, and please remember to get in touch with us. If you have any stories to share, I'm sure Emma will give you the details of how to get in touch. Back to you.
Well, that's all for tonight. Contact us the usual way through Facebook or Twitter, or pick up the phone and call Grimsby 315 561. Until next time, goodbye.